Welcome to Squatch-D TV, where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Kulls, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, Squatch-D TV. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And happy Sunday, everybody. I gotta tell you, sorry about not being around Friday. Friday I was going, if anybody noticed, and I don't know if you noticed, Chris, but last Wednesday I was wearing an arm brace.
Yeah, no sense.
And my elbow was really bothering me. I either hyperextended my tendon or something in there, caused some tendonitis, some swelling inside because it was like really tender to touch. Right. So I got an arm brace and a tendonitis band, and thank you, Sandwich Savant.
Wow.
Already popping in with thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sandwich Savant. 5 memberships, thank you.
So Friday, or rather Thursday night or Friday, it was Thursday night. I go to bed Thursday night, and I left the bands on.
Yeah.
And I woke up, and my hand here, which had the bad arm, was swollen twice the size of my other hand because... So all day long, my hand was swollen. I had to take all the stuff off. But the good news is the arm is back to normal again. Well, almost back to normal. And still being nice, but I don't need the apparatus on it anymore.
So, as long as your hand wasn't black, you're good. You're purple.
My God.
Yeah.
I was like, why is my hand so stiff? And I looked, I'm like, ah! You know, looked like I ate some bad shellfish or something, you know? Just like, So.
Oh, man.
But we want to wish everybody a happy Sunday night. And first in today was actually Grant Rasha, not Danny Weeks. Danny Weeks came in afterward. And of course, we got Sharon, Walter Kroll, Roy Longley, Karen Fisher, Sandra Piper, Gary Johnson Sr., Kathy Zabrowski, hello, Kathy? Grant Rasha, of course, Boris Kahn, Bippity Boppity Boop. Boris. Who else? Reverend Quantum Bigfoot over there and across the pond.
Reverend,
hello,
welcome.
Reverend, and they changed their clocks back there last night. That'll be happening for us next Sunday.
Yep, it's coming.
So we get an extra hour next week.
All right.
Mike Stetton in the house.
Hey, Mike.
Sally, good to see you. The Susie Monster, what's up? Jen, how you doing? Our bouncers in there.
Jen.
Of course, Sandwich Savant, thank you so much. Em and Chris, good to see you. Texas Jack, howdy. Arthur Watch. Who else we got going in the chat here? The B-Tron is in as well. Tennessee Cherokee, good to see you, my friend.
Cherokee, welcome.
And that's who else we got? Got anybody else going on? Sharon, of course. Sharon, Stephen Barcelo over there. That great museum down there. And Haunted Vermont, good to see you as well. And of course, the mighty Mick Siphon is in the house.
Welcome. Good to see you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us.
That is our roll call for the night. And so we got a heck of a show for you tonight.
Sasquatch Secrets, Nikki. Hello, Nikki.
And of course, for those who aren't subscribed, you can click that QR code in the upper right-hand side to subscribe. Takes you right to the subscribe page if you haven't subbed. And make sure that everybody, either on the way in, on the way out, or sometime during the show, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Finding the Trackway, Bill in the house. Says hello. Hello, Bill.
Hey, Bill. And Mike Nation. Welcome, Mike.
Mike Nation, hello.
Good to see you.
Yep, so so that's what happened to me Friday. I was just like, it was like between, and really my hand's total swelling didn't come down until probably Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So it was like it took a whole day
everything's
for
working
it to,
again. That's good. I'm glad everything's working again. That's good.
Well, you know, I'm not in pain, so that's a good thing. I just got to be really careful with it. I went to work yesterday.
Yep.
Did not strain the elbow at all. You know, luckily the loads are a little bit lighter on Saturday. Not always, but sometimes. Smedley Do-Right's in the house as well.
Smedley.
John, Sasquatch Wizard, Adirondack.
Hey, John.
Hello. Full house tonight.
Everybody, and they keep filing in. Welcome. Come on in.
Everybody
Welcome.
is in the house.
Come in, children. Come in. Welcome. All welcome.
Yes, we don't want to have any Bluetoothitis tonight. But we do have a hell of a show for you tonight. We're going to go over 5 different Bigfoot stories. A few of which we may have gone over in the past on a different angle. Because the first 3 will involve Mount St. Helens again. But we took a little different tack on the stories a bit. And you're going to have to excuse me because I'm reading off script tonight. Well, not script, but fact sheets. Always have my show notes. That way we try to be accurate as possible instead of trying to do this all off of memory. So Reverend Quantum Bigfoot said, this is just sleeping or pretending and really listening. So.
Oh, we appreciate you staying up late.
That's right. We just appreciate you being here, sir.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So, other than that, the Bigfoot front has been relatively quiet, I should say. I do have some cases I'm looking at, and I have been looking at, so I can't necessarily say it's been quiet on the sightings or the track find for the year, but there's a lot of stuff that
it's quiet in the news. Anyway, yeah.
Quiet in news. And hey, Sarah is in the house. Sarah, good to see you.
Sarah, welcome.
And she is actually, and we want to say our prayers for Sarah out there because she's in the hospital.
Oh, get better. Get well soon, Sarah.
The C word has been giving her some issues with some pain, so she's in the hospital for pain management right now. So, Goatman Curious, hello, good to see you. And again, prayers to you, Sarah. We love you out there. And give a little pat on the head to Blue for us. So anyway, tonight we're going to be looking at several stories. Anything you got on the list there, Chris, to talk about before we start off into our mighty venture?
No. We just before the show we started like a minute late because I was going over my list of things, but. Dude, if we talked about all the stuff that went wrong at this house yesterday, we'd have to do the whole show on that. So, oh man,
had to pull out of a dishwasher and tip it on its side.
Oh yeah. We had clogged drains. We had a dishwasher had to get straightened out. The ice maker broke. Okay, everything. Just name it.
Well, you want to hear a very strange coincidence?
What's that?
As yesterday, I had to fix the seal in my sink.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I was like, "Oh, I'm like, what is this?" I pull it out. It's the seal to one of the 2 seals that's on either side of them.
Oh, yeah.
So I got that working somewhat. I'm probably going to have to take it all apart at some point and replace it. Grant says Chris built a root cellar. So.
Yeah, I need to do that something. Believe me, there's been no shortage of work here lately. You know how it is in the fall. You got to get everything ready for winter. And there's lots of things to do around the house. And then all of a sudden, while you're doing that, everything decides to go haywire. Well, we have the ice maker doesn't work. Okay, the dishwasher won't work. The drains are clogged. Okay, it's like, okay, well that's fine. We'll get it.
Yeah. Well, what else doesn't work? That's like it's.
One step at a time, and we always get caught back up. But don't let it. It can be overwhelming if you let it. But you got to learn that you don't get upset about things you can't control. And when that happens, just go one thing at a time until you get all the issues solved.
Right. And I see Nikki is in the house too. Nikki, hello.
Nikki.
So, all right. So let's go to our story summary here for our first story of the night.
Oh, okay.
That I find that these are pretty much incredible Bigfoot stories. A little, Jen, just a shout out to my office assistant. He woke me up at 3 a.m. the other day because apparently this cold I have clogged up my throat and I apparently wasn't breathing. Wow.
Well, thank you, office assistant.
And, Walter would Snapple oil on the dishwasher bearings.
Joan, get me a Snapple.
Oh, man.
Everybody wants to hear that at least once a show now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, man.
Well, luckily, Trackway, there isn't much to read tonight because I didn't, it gets a little tedious doing PowerPoints every week where, I'm putting what I'm saying up on the screen. So I just rather just talk it out with everybody.
Yeah, we're going to be talking. This is basically story night. And this is going to be pretty
No,
fun,
and it's more emphasis on the analysis of the stories than the stories themselves because the stories get pretty long-winded and
creative.
Frankly, I get frustrated reading through them.
Oh, man.
Oh, come on now. My PowerPoints are not boring, especially when you have pictures and stuff like that. Pictures where I'm sitting there going, And our good friend over there from Squatchdetective, John Wilk, just came in. And, of course, Vince Linknutter. 3-1 Atlas, 3-Eye Atlas is bringing Bigfoot. Yeah, let's talk about that real quick before we get into our Bigfoot stories. Of course, there's all this conjecture, thanks to Harvard scientist Avi Loeb, about this 3-Eye Atlas being an alien craft or an alien origin.
Oh, well. I've seen some of the flight paths that thing is on, and it's really odd. And the odds are really highly set against it being on that flight path if it was just zooming by, but
it is kind of weird.
I'm not certain I can accept it.
Remember, Oumuamua is the one that made the turn, which is really weird.
Yeah. I'm really not really willing to accept that it's aliens, but it's possible. Anything's possible.
Yep.
It is certainly on a very strange flight path through our system, and that's strange.
Yeah, it'll be, I think it's November 20th it makes its closest path, so I'm going to be kind of curious to get the get eyes on it, perhaps, and, see what it looks like and whatever.
Yes, maybe this could be a government thing. Yes, I'm and Chris, they said the U.S. UFO field has been feds since late 1990s. Yep. Maybe the feds have been hiding it from us.
John says, let's get right to Albert Ostman. Yes, Albert is not on there. We've talked ad nauseum sometimes on Albert Ostman. What we will be doing, though, is once Small Town Monsters releases their new film on Fred Beck, after I view that, I'd love to do a show on Fred Beck. Maybe get Seth on the show and talk about it a bit, too. Going to be really a good thing.
Yeah, we could do a whole show about Albert Ostman's incident, but it's
Reverend Quantum Big, where they're using the money from the government shutdown to bribe aliens from landing.
Well, that's a theory, I guess. But
we don't want to stop.
Yeah. But it is on a strange flight path, and if you guys haven't checked it out yet, which I know most of you probably already have, check out the flight path that this object is on as it goes through our solar system, and it just happens to pass by some of the planets in our system close enough that if we had a probe or something and we wanted to view the planets, that's exactly the flight path we would have put it on. So it's kind of interesting.
Hang on. Incoming radio transmission from Atlas, the Atlas probe.
Way to go, a-hole!
There we are.
Oh, man.
But anyway, so let's get into our first story. Now, we do have some context to our stories, and the first one it's going to come from Strange But True Stories, supposedly true stories. The true story should be in quotes on this one, but the first story we're looking at is from this particular channel, which is the Mount St. Helens body cover-up story or recovery story, whatever you want to look at. And basically, to sum up this video, it says, after the 1980 eruption, crews cleaning the blast zone supposedly discovered several large hair-covered humanoid bodies among the wildlife casualties. According to the tale, a U.S. Forest Service and National Guard units arrived with trucks, helicopters, covered the bodies with tarps, and airlifted them away. Witnesses claim they were told to stay silent, and no photos or documents ever surfaced, giving rise to the enduring legend that multiple Sasquatch perished in the eruption and were secretly recovered. So that is the summary of video number 1, and we've talked about that ad nauseum.
Yes, on the show.
And that heat, with that heat of the ash, how could they be hair covered? Wouldn't their hair be burned off?
Yeah, it would have been gone. Yeah.
Right.
The first half second from the pyroclastic flow with no hair, gone.
No hair. It's burned right off. You're burned to death. You're scorched.
Yep.
So let's look at the problem with story number 1. And I just want to double check my notes here, make sure.
And I can't remember his name, but we had a guest on the show at one point that was there. That was part of the cleanup.
So yeah, I mean, like we get a paragraph or two about the summary, and we got about 2 pages of notes of what's wrong with this story. So, because what happens is that I go ahead and I take the transcript and I review the transcript of the actual thing instead of trying to watch the whole thing. I just take the transcript right through.
Well, it's a great story. I mean, it's creative.
Yep.
The Mount St. Helens blew up, and we got some Bigfoots. Okay.
I'm not sure if this is the version with the psychic Bigfoot tour guide. I think that may be in our next story. But anyway.
Stay tuned, Chris.
So they recovered multiple Sasquatch bodies and secretly burned them in pits under military control. Well, that was, there is zero verifiable chain of custody, no photos, no autopsy notes, no transport logs, no radio traffic, no after-action reports, nothing. That would be part of a record somewhere.
Yeah.
Not to mention, we've had a few people over the years, and I tried to find them, but I couldn't find them this morning. But we've had a couple of people that came on to claim that they were part of a military crew doing that, and I'm going to tear them apart next time we do a Bigfoot story night. And I think Bigfoot story night's really but the narrator confidently tells it in past tense as if it's documented history, right alongside real numbers like elk, deer counts, and blast energy. Now, yes, the U.S. Forestry Service did do an accurate recounting of how many deer, elk, other animals, and critters of the forest that were killed due to the Mount St. Helens explosion. That is true. That rhetorical trick is called anchoring legitimacy.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is they're trying to anchor some legitimacy to this mystery by citing those statistics of deer and elk, etc.
Yes.
You wrap that up with an unproven claim and proven data so it feels the same. Classic method of laundering speculation into fact.
Yeah.
So the Army Corps of Engineers found 2 Sasquatch in the Cowlitz River. The Corps were absolutely involved in dredging and log jam clearing. True. But the bodies of anything, especially unknown hominids, would trigger jurisdictional involvement. The Department of Interior, U.S. Forestry Service, law enforcement, state game, and likely a Smithsonian or U.S. Geological Survey bioconsult. This is how American incident management works. You cannot quietly toss unknown primate corpses into a burn pit without any scientific capture event or attempt.
Right.
The story pretends military can bypass liability and public health law. They can't. Even a bear carcass in a waterway today gets documented for disease surveillance. And that's the other big thing is that, very true, you know, what biohazards of these things. You know, we've never discovered this before. You know, what biohazards does this, you know, present, if any, right? For that 40,000 salmon dead, 1,500 elk, 5,000 deer, then just slides into several Sasquatch. Never an exact count of the Sasquatch. Why is that?
Well, because they're lying.
This is just part one of this. We're going to turn this apart even some more.
Yeah, you know, we can count fish, but we're going to give you several Sasquatch. Right. Well, I would rather have said, 4 Sasquatch and several fish because it's going to be a big job to count a bunch of dead fish.
Right. Yep. Several Sasquatch has no source, no number and verification, but is grammatically placed to feel parallel. That's narrative framing, not evidence. As an investigator, you flag that because honest people don't usually hide specific numbers unless they don't have them. And this is this is something we commonly see when we interview criminals. They're always very specific about framing the beginning of the day and the end of the day, but when it comes to the actual event you want to focus in on, the robbery, the theft, the murder, the assault, that period of time strangely becomes vague, right? Yeah. And that's usually a big sign. You're so accurate. Well, I had cornflakes with 2 cups of milk for breakfast, then I got my coat on and I went out and I drove away, and and then the story becomes vague in the middle part where a robbery attempt happens, and then all of a sudden they're very descriptive about when they get home again. Well, I got home, we had dinner, we had this beautiful turkey dinner, and we ended up watching television, and we watched this program and that program. So that's a great example of what that is that, you have all these specific numbers for elk and deer, but not the Sasquatch, which is the main focus of the story.
Like, this Jack is killing me here. Several Sasquatch, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, and a partridge
in a pear tree. That's right.
Well, with this creativity they're doing here, they're mixing in some truth and some facts in with their stretchable things that they add.
And that is a common tactic too, that dishonest people will use, is mix in a few fact with some false, and
exactly
it becomes harder to, at least in their head, it becomes harder for them to. For the person listening to the event or listening to, well, he must be telling the truth.
Yes.
But that's not true for a trained ear like mine. I go, whoa, wait a minute.
Well, yes, it was Tuesday and it did rain, but, UFO didn't come down and take you away.
Sounds like a bunch of
Yeah, exactly. But it is fun listening to that kind of stuff, though.
So let's look at the, there are some internal contradictions and control problems in the witness accounts. These stories are supposedly from different people, but they all snap together too perfectly like chapters in a screenplay instead of unrelated field statements.
Right.
See, and that's what we call, and the thing is when you have 2 witnesses telling the exact same story, then you have 3 witnesses telling the exact same story, and say they're all suspect. Right? That's when you realize that perhaps that they got together and came up with a plan beforehand. Yeah. And in this case, if it's being written by the same person, of course, this all fits in like a story. Contradiction. We burned all the bodies in pits versus we escorted living wounded Sasquatch for medical care, which was part of that story. One testimony has Bigfoot as dead biohazard cargo, stacked, tarped, guarded, and then burned. Another testimony claims at least one Bigfoot was alive, being medically tended, communicating with a civilian handler, pointing out injured companions in caves like a search and rescue guide, and even waving goodbye. Well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
How are these caves even in existence after the eruption of Mount St. Helens?
Well, and that guy survived a volcano blast eruption. He's pretty tough in my book, I'll tell you that.
But I'm sure the caves didn't. They would be all filled up by pyroclastic flow. So sorry.
Yes, right.
That ain't working.
Right.
Biohazard disposal versus live asset recovery and negotiated extraction. You don't run both missions simultaneously under the same command structure without paperwork, photographs, or rumors surfacing in 45 years. Now, that's not how containment ops work. It's how myth building works. Version A, tragic cover-up. Version B equals compassionate alliance. That widens the emotional appeal of the story, right? So you have this big cover-up going on, but we're going to add this nice little element in there to get compassion, to get people, right? This is story building.
Right.
Conflicting command hierarchy. Story 1, National Guard is in charge of piles of bodies and perimeter with shoot to keep people out orders. Okay.
Oh.
That would really cause some problems.
Yeah.
Story 2, a mysterious unnamed civilian is actually directing soldiers and appears to communicate in an unknown language with Bigfoot, and soldiers just obey. Right, there they see the difference in that, right? And if you dealt with real federal response, you know that this uniformed personnel do not take tactical tasking at a disaster site from a random unnamed civilian with no identified agency. As a civilian is in charge, they're not just a guy, they're tagged. U.S. Forestry Service, U.S. Geological Service, FBI, Tribal Authority, etc. The vagueness is storytelling armor.
Yeah.
It's how you dodge follow-up. Well, I don't know who he was. He just outranked everybody somehow. That's narrative hand-waving, not an operational memory.
Right.
So, we were given M16s, but basically useless ammo. Problems with that, Air Force witnesses say we were issued M16s, one mag, maybe even not real rounds, told to shoot anyone who breached. That's nonsense from a risk management perspective. Ordering deadly force with uncertain ammo load is liability suicide. It sounds dramatic to civilians. We were given guns and told lethal force, but to anyone with actual security background, it reads like a civilian imagining what a top secret perimeter duty would be like. Right. The brief timelines do not agree as well. We were told don't talk for 30 years. After that, no one will care. Air Force witness calls. We were told never to mention this TDY part. These are strategically opposite messages. One's gag order with an expiration, the other's permanent denial. When multiple independent witnesses repeat the same core myth but can't keep suppression protocol consistent, you're not looking at memory, you're looking at folklore evolving in the wild, basically. Right.
Yeah, it's creative story writing, I believe. There's a lot of elements there, and it's pretty good. It's got a pretty good, little story going on there, but there's way too many red flags.
Here's some psychological red flags. One of some of my favorite parts of when we do these analyses, because psychology is my thing.
Right.
So, when we
Grant,
and this is in quotes, we saw something impossible, but we all just quietly accepted it. The guard account says the first living creature steps out of the tent, described basically as a comic book character, like the Beast from X-Men, only brown. Within minutes, the soldiers supposedly emotionally normalize it, escort it around, and nobody panics, takes a photo, or blurts, something. Oh my God, I can't believe what we're looking at, right? Real human behavior under a high novelty stress, with the elevated adrenaline, people whispering, somebody cracks dark humor, or somebody violates protocol for proof ego leverage later on. We see that continuously in real critical incidents. You do not get 520-something guardsmen all achieving perfect disciplined silence plus instant moral alignment, as in they just want to be left alone. This is idolized behavior. Idolized means constructive. The alien diplomat framing. The creature portrayed here, portrayed not as an injured animal, but as an intelligent liaison who understands command structure, communicates with the human interpreter, actively helps triage wounded members in caves, and gives grateful hand wave goodbye. This hits empathy beats, not observation beats. It's written to make you feel complicit in protecting a noble hidden people. That is straight out of mythic contact narratives. I met the hidden tribe. They were peaceful. Now I carry that secret. This is a storytelling archetype going back 100 years. It's not how first contact shock usually reads in actual law enforcement, usually reads in actual law enforcement. So let's think about this. I mean,
The chat's killing me over here, man.
I'm trying to ignore it because it's pretty funny.
I know it's distracting, but
I mean, a great point is that when you have these type of things happen, there is no incredibility. If you read about, the first Native Americans seen by Europeans here, there was great dread. There was great fear. There was, a lot of questions that were asked and a lot of, things here. Here, it's just like it's accepted and everything's cool and everything. That doesn't happen.
no. And especially if there are a lot of National Guard troops out there, they're going to be like, somebody's going to be saying, what the heck is going on over there?
Right. And they're trying to build up a story also that perhaps this interaction was going on longer than just Mount St. Helens. Like this has been going on for years.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That's why they understand the language there. There's an interpreter who apparently speaks Bigfoot, would love to talk to him. Maybe it was Scott Nelson.
It might have been.
I don't know.
They could have added that in there.
Where was Scott Nelson when Mount St. Helens blew up? Let's ask that question.
Yeah, we could add that in. That makes it better. Yeah. He was a linguist, so maybe he spoke their language. Did some work on the what's those tapes of the. Oh,
friggin' Mick.
Never mind.
Mick came out with a real good one too there.
Yeah, Reverend Quantum Bigfoot asks, did M.K. Davis claim St. Helens was a Bigfoot massacre? I think that was the Bluff Creek footage.
I know.
He claimed that happened at Bluff Creek. He saw blood everywhere.
And of course, Mick's comment.
And Mick says the only Bigfoot massacre that ever occurred was on MK's photo and video editing applications. I think there may be some truth to that. I did view that topic quite a bit. Of course, we could make a whole show about that, but that's not what this show is about.
All right, so let's look at the other things that are said in this. There's something called strategic self-insulation. And that's where, that the narrator claims there were either A, perimeter, B, not told to talk or question, or physically blocked from them seeing the key thing behind the next partitions. This is extremely common in fabricated testimony. Why? Because it lets them tell a sensational story while preemptively explaining why they can't produce any verifiable specifics. Right? Again, the vagueness. Very common too when in interrogating criminals too. They do the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's a good question, Sally. And Sally, if you can send me the link to that story, I would love to tear that apart. So,
yeah, there were several different claims made about this ordeal.
well, let's think about it. I was there, but I can't give names, ranks, unit numbers, tail numbers, exact grid, or photos because I wasn't allowed to. I wasn't allowed past the curtain. You know?
Well, that's the thing about the military. All right. There is a thing to where if you are privy to top secret information, that is forbidden to talk about forevermore after you get out. Because they can, even if you're a civilian and your military life is well behind you, they can put you back in the military and try you under the UCMJ for giving away national secrets.
But the fact is how many whistleblowers have come forward over the UAP cover-up? Right? And we know there's a cover-up now. We know there's a cover-up now.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yep.
So...
lots and lots.
Yeah. So we know. I mean, there's an example, and that's the beauty of what's happened the last, since 2017 is that we're seeing, some validation or vindication of whistleblowers.
Right.
And we have these events that have gone on since the 2000s that we have multiple whistleblowers that have come forward and said, yep, I know about this, I know about that, et cetera, et cetera. But we're talking about something that happened in 1980, which is, 40 years ago? And nobody has come forward except some anonymous people, right? And only a couple of that, and their stories are not, there's nothing to verify any of their stories. They haven't come forward in a fashion only on podcasts, right? Not to government agents, not to the Inspector General's office, not to news agencies, but to podcasts who like sensationalizing these things.
Yeah. If there's going to be somebody with some credible information, they wouldn't be afraid to come up and say, hey, I'm so-and-so. I was here at such and such date.
Correct.
And these are, what unit I was assigned to. This is my rank at that time. This is what happened. But you don't get that. You don't get detailed information. You get very vague.
So there was a comment in there. I was Air Force, not Marines, which is kind of self-deprecating. There's a build to credibility. It's, I'm not trying to sound like Rambo. I'm admitting incompetence, so I must be honest. Right?
Right.
That's called an honesty lead. Scammers and embellished witnesses use it a lot.
Right.
Right? and one of the classic things that I would do when I was in my loss prevention days, and again, a trained interrogator, they would often call me in to do some orientations of new people to feel them out. So I'd take a group of these people, and I would start going over some of the rules of the road when it comes to accountability, what's going to happen if you steal. And inevitably, there would be one person in the group, I would never do that. My uncle's a cop. I would never do that. My father's in law enforcement, right?
All right.
And within usually a month or two, I end up arresting them for stealing. Right? Almost 100% of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that when I do those orientations, it was probably around 97% of the time that somebody had made that comment. I was able to catch them.
Yes.
Several months later from stealing. And that's what they're doing there. They're calling it, an honesty lead.
Yeah. Oh man, people. That's the criminal mind, though. It's kind of funny to when you take a step back and look at their behaviors and what they say versus what they do, and when you think about how they're considering why they say these things to you in order to give you, they're trying to con you, is what they're meant. And the reason why they do it most time is it works, because people get conned every day by criminals. But that doesn't always work. You may fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all of the time.
We may end up going to another non-Mount St. Helens story after this, because this is really taking a lot of time to break this one down.
It is.
And I guess, we can brush through the other two really quickly, but I want to really deep dive these. And let's look at this narrative sequencing, because all of these topics here kind of correspond with everything else we're about to say about some of the others. But in the last two stories we have, which are completely different, are not Mount St. Helens related. They have some of the same elements of story building, but but are a little different, a little more specific, and we'll explain at that point.
Yeah, let's get some of those up there. Yeah.
But let's continue on here. So what they're doing is narrative sequencing. Look at the live creature sequence. Briefing with ominous rule. After I talk, you'll forget I was here. Reveal of injured Bigfoots. Escort to multiple caves. Mercy killing gunshots off screen. Bittersweet wave goodbye. Moral message from high-ranking officer. They're like us. Leave them alone. Right? That is literally a 3-act arc with emotional payoff. Real field debriefs are not written like movies. They're written like incident logs, time, location, asset ID, disposition. We didn't get any of this. We get drama. And then there's the motive problem. Ask who benefits from telling it this way. The video positions the government as both ruthless, burning bodies, and compassionate, treating them, protecting them at the same time. Why? The answer, because it keeps every viewer engaged.
Yeah.
Right? If you're anti-government, you latch on to the cover-up and mass burn pits. But if you're pro-protection of the species, you latch on to they cared for them and respected them. And the wave goodbye, don't forget that.
Exactly.
Right? That is marketing narrative, not incident narrative. It's calibrated to recruit the wildest audience into belief into the secrecy, which conveniently generates clicks, not physical evidence.
Right. Got to bring in the audience. Even if you got people on both sides, you want them in. The anti-government guys, yeah, I could see that. The pro-government guys, yeah, I could see that.
And let's talk about specific technical tells you'd use in a hoax breakdown segment. A vague rank. High-ranking soldier or civilian, a doctor in a lab coat. Real whistleblowers give you ranks, unit patches, MOS types, aircraft tail numbers. Hoaxers give you costumes, right?
Right.
So that's what you have, is a bunch of costumes. A man in a white lab coat. Unknown rank. Black helicopters. Right? Zero self-preservation instinct. Supposedly these guys sat in this for decades, or on this for decades because they were told to. But now they'll spell it to a paranormal blog, and nobody else from their same unit has ever independently come forward with matching hard details. That's extremely unlikely if it were real, but it's completely normal if it's online folklore where every riff, where everyone riffs a new "I was there too" add-on. And the time compression and geography fog. The Air Force story jumps from George Air Force Base, Travis Air Force Base, Vancouver Island, Secret Ferry, U.S. side, unnamed perimeter in the blast zone, back to Vancouver Island, back to George. That's intentionally muddy. When storytellers don't want you to check a timeline against actual unit logs and airlift records, they blur locations and make everything under the cover of darkness. So that is story number 1.
Steve said he prefers the black lab coat. Yeah. Oh, man.
So story number 2. Story number 2 is the second version claims that before the eruption, government helicopters conducted unusual flights around the mountain's restricted areas. Storytellers say agencies, sometimes named as the Forest Service or Department of the Interior, allegedly had prior warning and removed living Sasquatch from the remote zones. It's completely in conflict to the prior story, I might remind you. Eyewitnesses described the night operations, unmarked aircraft, containment units, and large hairy figures being loaded aboard. These accounts suggest a quiet rescue effort meant to relocate the creatures before the disaster.
See, that's created to explain why there were no bodies recovered. So yeah, that's good. Government evacuated them.
So again, this is not an eyewitness deposition. It's a reader-submitted anecdote performed by a YouTube narrator. The producer presents it as a credible testimony without verifying rank. MOS 6 or chain of command. That's already an error of investigative method. Platforms acting like as a publisher, but skipping basic authentication. So, invented factual and procedural errors will get in there. This is a little bit lighter than the last one because it's a lesser of a video, a less detailed video. So let's take a look. So factual and procedural errors. Get to the chopper now. I agree. I'll be back. Invented unit names: Advanced Warfare Specialist Battalion, Special Project Medical Assistance Facility, Combined Service Medical Support Detachment Foxtrot. None existed in 1980 in the Army. This mimics how conspiracy tales sound official without being verifiable.
They watched a lot of episodes of MASH.
Fort Lewis deployment timeline. Actual Mount St. Helens recovery included U.S. Geological Service, U.S. Forestry Service, and National Guard civil support. No records show a forward medical site for animal carcass destruction. Interagency impossibility. A U.S. Forestry Service doctor commanding an Army infantry and Air Force SSPs in a joint secret medical op is structurally impossible. These entities report up different civilian chains. Weapon and ROF mismatch. Return fire if necessary is in a closed disaster perimeter under United States Forestry supervision would breach posse comitatus.
Hey.
There you go.
Never mind.
Which again leads back to the shoot on sight of the last one.
Yeah. I think Boris has got it right here. It says the UFOs from Mount Adams were called in to relocate the Bigfoot.
That's it.
Yeah. Boris, you should work on a story for that. That would be a good one too. You know. And Steve says, someone stole the idea. The government only knew the volcano was going to erupt because the gray aliens told them so they could evacuate the secret bases in the area, including the Bigfoots. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. And again, we get all the same elements of vagueness involved in this particular one as well. Again, some of the internal contradictions include top secret MOS. 1B, 1V simply means infantry, airborne qualified, not a classified MOS.
Right.
Witness claims both deep perimeter security a half mile out and participated directly in extraction operation, which would violate compartmentalization in any restricted zone. They call the doctor he, then she midway in this. An author slip showing single author narration rather than independent. So they call the doctor he in one part, then they call him she in another part.
Yeah. And also the Air Force doesn't have MOSs for
Right.
The new guys creating new stories. It's called a AFSC, Air Force Specialty Code.
Yep. They're told no civilians allowed, yet the doctor is a civilian with command authority. They claimed it smelled like wet dog, not bad, contradicting every prior Bigfoot olfactory intensity report. A narrative case meant to humanize the creature. Right. So again, we see that conflicting. Well, we burn bodies and we do this, but here's this nice. Oh, we're being so nice to these.
Well, no description of the smell of the bodies either, being burnt, other than just the wet dog. No.
So let's look at some of the.
I've smelled burnt
midway
dead
through
bodies.
the story, yes, I think that would be kind of difficult in the middle of a volcanic scene that they're going to go to reassignment surgery. Let's look at the psychological markers of fabrication. It's got Hollywood structure, 3-act pacing once again, disaster rescue, emotional connection, and redemptive reappearance. Saving the narrator and wife. That's screenwriting, not witness recall.
Right.
Emotional imprinting, again, classic empathetic reversal, turning a monster into a tragic friend.
Right.
Appeals to moral elevation, not sensory detail.
Sound like
And
they're
again,
trying to
in
get a
interviewing
Hollywood
criminals, they always try to minimize, even if they're caught dead to rights. You have multiple robbery suspects, right? Where there is a fatality involved in it. It doesn't matter if there's 3 suspects involved. Each one of those 3 suspects will tell you how much they didn't want it to be there and how much they didn't want it to get out of hand. And it wasn't their call to do what happened to the victim, right?
Right.
And that happens in almost all, unless you get somebody that's really callous and don't care. But many times I've heard that everybody says, well, it wasn't my idea to do it. It was so-and-so's idea to do it. And then you talk to so-and-so. Well, it wasn't my idea to do it. It was so-and-so's idea.
Right.
And everybody's pointing fingers at one another.
Blame
Who's
game.
responsible, right?
Yeah.
So you see that. It's very similar here that there's always this, now we have this big, but then everybody ends up, happy, right? Hypercoherence. Both husband and wife experienced perfect mutual recall after traumatic crash, despite concussions, broken bones, and blood loss. Impossible for cognitive clarity.
Right.
Sub-hero narrative. A storyteller is chosen, compassion, trusted by the being. Same narcissistic reward cycle seen in contractor syndrome, or contactee syndrome, rather. And again, we see that, in all the Bigfoot contactees. Oh, there's a trust between us. In fact, they trust me so good, they put me on the Council of 12. Right.
Yeah.
And of course, moral messaging close. We're all God's creatures. Genuineness really end with a philosophical closure. That's, authorial editing. That's, author's editing right there.
Yeah. These guys were probably hoping to sell a story to Hollywood to get turned into a movie or something, or at least a short story.
Right. So again, behavioral forensics, lack of sensory fragmentation, real trauma statements jump in time, leave blanks, contain confusion. This is linear, calm, cinematic, over precision and irrelevant data, full vehicle types, weapons, models, grid distances, padding to mimic authenticity. Under precision in critical data, no coordinates, no unit IDs, no names, no chain of custody for bodies. Identity withholding for protection, a common hoax trope, giving immunity from verification. In fact, you don't hear any of these people say, well, in any of these instances, saying, hey, I know who the witness is, and, for the sake of this, I'm keeping them anonymous. But I have seen some of their provenance that I can, show, somehow that they were there or that they had a military rank or any of that. But you don't see any of this. How hard would it be to take a DD-214 and black out all the critical elements of it, like a name, right?
Yep, year service, all that.
Yeah, exactly. That way you can see, there's the year of service there where they were, that they were actually assigned there. You never see a DD-214 from any of these. And in case people who are wondering, Chris, go ahead, tell what it is. Since you're a vet, what is a DD-214?
That's your honorable discharge. It's a discharge.
Right.
Hopefully it'll be honorable, but that tells you how long you were in the military, what branch of military was, what ranks you held. It tells a lot. Yeah, a lot of information on there. Plus, you can use that information and find out where was this person stationed, what were their temporary duties they were assigned to, where did they go, have they been here, have they been there, what jobs did they hold. And in most cases, well, some of the things it won't tell you, though, if they held a really secret position thing, yeah, it won't tell you about that.
It'll say, will it say classified or unavailable on that?
It just won't list it.
Right. Gotcha.
It'll say maybe where you were stationed at, unless you were stationed somewhere like Groom Lake. Then they won't say nothing like that. But
right. Well, it would be. I mean, regardless of that, a DD-214 would at least give some provenance to it that, hey, I was in the military during this time.
Yes, and that's basically, that it's just your discharge. And then you can use the information on that DD-214. It's not all listed on there, okay? You can just use the person's DD-214 to track the person and their career. It's not all on that one form.
And Reverend Quantum Bigfoot provides a great note. If they do provide a DD-214, send it to Don Shipley, our good friend Don Shipley, who we've actually corresponded with in the past about another crackpot we had a couple of years ago. Who was making a lot of threats, claiming all these, MOSs and stuff like that. And right. And we actually talked to Don, and Don came back, said, yeah, it's okay to use my rundown. He was claiming he was hunting dogmen and stuff like that. And Don was really cool, reached out really quick. And hello to Don out there if you're ever watching the show.
But if you got the information,
right,
there's a lot of personnel records that you can look up that
even
are
if we do get
available.
a DD-214, we can send it off to Don and make sure that it seems at least potentially authentic.
Yep. You can't fake those numbers. If those numbers don't show up in the government record, well then, what? Oh man.
So again, let's look at the motive and manipulation pattern of this particular video. Narrative consolidates earlier Mount St. Helens Bigfoot corpse rumors and repackages them for emotional validation. See, they're not killers, and that's in quotes. For the producer, it creates viral engagement, a sympathetic tone, high retention, confirmation bias, loops for believers, more proof the government knew, and of course, zero accountability because everything is anecdotal and uncheckable, right? Criminal, based on the structure and language, this person is likely a fanaticist hoaxer, not a profit scanner, although I tend to disagree with that. Uses corroborative jargon, military, medical, the posture, credibility, displays compensatory empathy, projection, turning Bigfoot into moral superior to mankind. The Mr. and Mrs. M framing adds relational validation, classic hoax pairing techniques used since the 1950s in UFO contactee letters.
Yeah.
So my conclusion is the military procedural framework is fiction. The emotional narrative, beats follow the narrative beats follow myth-making templates. There's no verifiable details to survive cross-check. The producer's presentation as credible email is journalistic negligence, no vetting, no corroboration, heavy confirmation bias. The psychological pattern matches constructed myth for belonging and validation, not for trauma recall. So this is basically what I wrote was, this is a folk narrative wearing a camouflage jacket, as a field report.
Are we
good
done?
Good story, bad evidence.
We're done with Mount St. Helens, right?
Got one more.
Okay.
One more. This one will go pretty quick. This one is written more like a magazine essay or scripted narration from a witness account, and then tries to walk the middle line between skeptics versus believers. Let's break it down.
Yeah.
So the narrative, strategy, intent. This is crafted propaganda-style folklore, not journalism. The writer uses an omniscient narrator voice, mixing verifiable facts again. Such as eruption timeline, tribal history with speculative rumors, helicopters with Bigfoot bodies, an abrasive narrative, so the listener emotionally, equates both tiers as credible. Again, mixing truth with fiction,
right,
or truth with unconfirmed stuff.
Yeah.
Joan, get me a Snapple.
Mick called for it.
I knew you were going to do that.
You always know because I go over here to the pad and you see me looking over here. I'm working on something. The structure mimics a History Channel voiceover. Start factual, shift to mystery, end with emotional symmetry. Truth remains elusive. Psychology, that's called the closure illusion. The brain feels satisfied, so it doesn't fact check. So, again, a lack of sensory fragmentation. I'm sorry, wrong sheet. Claims that the government helicopters were spotted conducting unusual operations before May 18th blast. The U.S. Geological Survey's daily logs of media flights are fully documented. There were no unmarked flights authorized over restricted zones. And mind you, let's bring out the big elephant in the room. There was a lot of reporters flying around too, right? How many reporters were crawling all over Mount St. Helens?
Oh, lots. After the big boom, yeah, there were lots and lots because they had to get that stuff.
Well,
on
even
camera,
before the big boom.
Yeah.
Remember that sucker was rumbling, and earthquakes were for a good 7-8 weeks.
Yeah.
To the point where they evacuated everybody out of the area because they were anticipating the mountain was going to blow.
Right. It was big news prior to the explosion.
Correct.
To the eruption.
And there were hundreds, if not more, reporters in that area. Plus, we had a lot of civilians working in the area. We had ham radio operators conducting communications across the mountains. One of them passed away, the guy who actually got on his ham radio and said, it's blowing up. And he ended up, disappearing in the big cabal.
Yeah.
You had Mike Johnson at the now Johnston Observatory. He was the one who photographed it, and then he got wiped out.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And he had been on the television days earlier, right?
Yeah.
Right. He was the main guy up there for the longest time, preaching that this thing's going to blow up.
And I saw that documentary where he thought he was far enough away that he was going to be okay when he filmed this, and then he's like, uh-oh. No.
Right. And then you watch that if it was such a contained area, here's this reporter in a station wagon who and I'm very well versed in Mount St. Helens eruption. I found it fascinating as a child. I was 11 years old when Mount St. Helens erupted. So it was fascinating. And I was always into current events. That was something, and I was always into the news because of my father was always watching the news and watching this. So we were watching this happen, as much as you can in lifetime that's possible for 1980.
Yeah.
And there was this reporter who was on the mountain where when it erupted, the road behind him got destroyed.
Yeah.
And then the road in front of him got destroyed.
Yeah.
And there's the video of him walking out as this big black cloud just covers him up. He ends up making it out alive.
Yeah.
Worse for wear, but he made it out alive. And with his camera.
Well, the ABC News coverage, which was about the only channel we could get back then, was really good.
Right. And how about all the other campers that were all around there? If this was a contained area where people were flying out Bigfoot, they wouldn't be there, would they? Yeah. In fact, they had started to trickle people back into the area. The residents were able to go to their homes at one point and get some of their belongings, because they wanted to go ahead and check their homes. So this doesn't sound like this was a containment area.
Oh, man.
Why did they let Harry Truman stay at the lodge if this was a containment area on Spirit Lake? Remember the lodge, the Harry Truman, the old guy that said, he's not going? Right? They let him stay. I mean, that doesn't sound like a military option or a military op to me, where they're trying to contain this area as a great...
Well, I kind of think there may have been some containment to keep people away from the area, to keep them from getting hurt. But other than that, it wouldn't have been, we're roping this off because we have Bigfoots to fly out. We don't want anybody to see them. No. But they were doing the search and recovery effort, during that. And they were going to be recovering, bodies. So, oh, man. Ugh. Yeah.
So, I think I'm about done with our...
Grant said, of course, the copters were told they couldn't fly when it did erupt. Most use the same recordings. Yeah.
Well, that's the big thing too, is that we're gonna go write the story for it.
I remember seeing helicopter footage of the mountain after it erupted. Because they were showing the devastation. Like half the mountain's gone.
What people don't understand, and of course, when you're writing a story about Bigfoot bodies and helicopters running around and all this other stuff. They're forgetting one thing, is that area was so caked in ash.
Yeah.
Right? The reports of them being on the side of the mountain. That area was so caked with ash. Cars would stall out. Helicopters would crash because the ash is a solid substance.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like steam. Steam will dissipate. You can fly a helicopter through steam. It's not the greatest, but they do it through clouds, right? But an ash cloud is not made of the same ash as a solid. So if a helicopter goes through an ash cloud, and there's a lot of particulates in the air, it starts to choke out that engine's need, and that's oxygen, because every engine, jet engines, and rotary engines, and even your car engines all need oxygen.
Yeah.
And when you have this enormous amount of particulate in the air consisting of ash, that starts clogging up your carburetor or your air intakes to where it's starting to starve those engines of the oxygen, and it causes them to sputter and stall out.
Right.
So that's why when they erupted, they had to ground the helicopters.
Completely clogs the air filters. 100%. Yeah.
And it's heavier. It's much more denser than dirt. I mean, there were buildings that actually roofs collapsed under the weight of the ash.
Right.
In surrounding communities that weren't directly involved with the pyroclastic flows, and they were damaged by the ash cloud. And then when the ash came down like snow, and there was pictures of Yakima, Washington, where it looked like it was snowing out, but it was ash.
Yeah.
Again, snow will melt and dissipate. Ash just sits there, so it had to be cleaned up.
That stuck with me too as a kid when I was watching the stories on the aftermath after the news. They were showing people in the next state over were sweeping ash off their cars and stuff. So that's the amount of stuff that was in the air. Incredible.
So any immediate rescue of anybody, Bigfoot or otherwise, people, they were all dead. They're holding out in a cave and stuff like that. It's all nonsense. Like we had Jay Birch on, who was a National Guardsman at the time of Mount St. Helens.
Yeah.
Who said the place was like a nuclear blast had gone off. You think we're looking for Bigfoot? We're looking for people, any survivors.
Yeah. People come first.
And that's very true, Grasshopper. So I drove through the ash on the way back from Atlanta to Seattle. For days, right? It looked like it was cloudy out. That was the ash flow, because eventually it hit the jet stream. And it made New York cloudy for like a week. And it was really a weird type of cloud cover, because it wasn't really clouds. They were ash. It was floating ash caught in the jet stream. Correct. There was no lava, but a pyroclastic flow is when heat causes a mass flooding and push. In fact, that picture you see there, that trail you see, was likely a pyroclastic flow where water from the levee of the thing pushed the water out from Spirit Lake. That's a pyroclastic flow. Yeah, and there was no lava or anything like that.
Yeah, the pyroclastic flow is superheated air, particulates, and ash. So you can't breathe it, and I don't think you could survive it even if you were in a cave, because it's coming in.
Right, and exactly. A pyroclastic flow is a fast-moving, extremely hot current of gas, ash, and volcanic rock fragments that rushes down the slopes of a volcano during an explosive eruption.
Right.
These flows are incredibly dense and destructive, capable of traveling at speeds of 435 miles per hour, incinerating everything in their path due to the high temperatures of over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right.
So that is the pyroclastic flow.
Oh, what is the name of that? Mount Vesuvius. That's why they have those people that are
Grant says lungs would turn to liquid. No, lungs would turn to a charcoal briquette. Is what they would.
Yeah,
think about that. That superheated gas gets in the lungs. It's going to set you in. Yeah. There wouldn't be liquid to have. It would disintegrate because of that temperature. It would evaporate. Any fluid in your body with 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit and getting hit with that force would just rip you apart and make you disintegrate and dry up every ounce of fluid you have in your body.
Where is that at? Trying to find it. I think it's the.
So, Grasshopper, I would have you look up the definition of pyroclastic flow. You will see that, because that's what I just did.
Campania, Italy, just below Mount Vesuvius. So that's where they have all those people that were immortalized.
Oh, Pompeii. Pompeii.
Yeah. Yes.
Pompeii. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were hit so fast that they
they
were buried.
Yeah.
Grass, I just read you the definition of what a pyroclastic flow is.
Well, it has the superheated gas.
But I agree, it's a river of material.
Yes,
not necessarily a river of water. But I get what you're saying there.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, it's a
right.
It's a bad news.
And I think that one side of the mountain was just blowing out, and that's what really made that such a devastating volcano. Was it went out the side, not the top. Everybody was expecting a top-loading volcano, but they got worried because the one side of the mountain started to bulge, and they were like, uh-oh.
Right.
But they were thinking that if it blew up towards the top, that bulge would recede back to where it was.
Yep.
But instead, the bulge just went poof. It was kind of like, to me, it looked like, if you were to compare it to a body, it would look like a pulmonary embolism, where there's an occlusion in the vein, it starts to bulge up, and then it pops at the vein instead of out the...
Yeah, it wouldn't have been as violent an explosion if the lava had been thin, but they had really, really dense, thick lava, which did not run out of the mountain. It just, boom.
So let's look at
Volcanoes
the
are
Virginia
fascinating.
bear encounter story. So we're going to click over to
Yeah.
the next.
Oh, wow.
Did we get that out of order? Hang on.
I'm not putting that up, Boris.
This may not be the accurate story to that. I think I may have looked at 6, but I chose 5. But
Okay. He
while
almost
hiking-
died. Wow. It says he almost died and then rescued by a Sasquatch.
while hiking in Virginia's mountains, a man notices a small black bear cub trembling in a tree. Fearing the mother bear is near, he freezes as heavy footfalls approach. But instead of a bear, he glimpses a tall, amber-haired, upright figure watching him from the trees. The cub drops, reunites with his mother, and the pair run off. The tall figure remains briefly, leaning forward as if warning him to leave, and then he bolts down the hill to safety, later convinced the strange creature's sudden appearance kept him from being attacked.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So that is just a quick. So that is the proper slide for that. Now, Base Camp Chris likes telling stories. I know somebody sent this to him. He's much like Steve Isdall, except for he actually hikes in the woods. As you can see, there he is hiking.
Yeah.
So he's an actual guy. Just doesn't sit with pretty scenery behind him, but you see him camping and doing stuff.
Yeah. I'm not sure I would take the same, I had the same takeaway from it, but it's possible. I do know, if you see a bear cub in the woods, you leave. You don't want to be around it anywhere, no, because Mama's going to be around somewhere. Mama will flat out rip you a new one. But I'm scared of bears. I fully admit it. I'm bear phobia, I guess. Basically afraid of anything that could eat me. I don't really like going swimming in the deep ocean either. So. Yeah, Danny says that Base Camp Chris does have first-hand accounts sometimes.
Yeah. Cool. I actually like his channel.
Uh-huh. I'm going to have to check it out. I'm not sure if I've got him on my subscribe list or not, but I'm going to check out Base Camp Chris. I'll check him out.
So I'm a little confused right now because story... hate when I have so many notes to do a show that kind of lost the...
Oh, yeah, Mick. Don't mess with a mama bear. No. I don't have much experience. We supposedly have bears around here, but, they're not in great numbers or anything. But, yeah, I'm wary of bears.
So let me pull this one up here on a different...
Yeah.
Apparently, I've seemed to have lost my notes on that. Mm-hmm. And...
Now, New Mexico had far more bears than we have here in Kentucky. And if you want to see a bear in Kentucky, you've got to go way over in eastern Kentucky and southeastern Kentucky especially. But there are a few here in the south central portion of Kentucky. which, there's one just a few miles away here locally that was recorded on a camera, a cub, a bear cub. I'm like, oh, he shouldn't be here. Go away.
I don't know why I can't find this. This one.
Yeah, I have to remember when we're out in the woods.
Well, I had to
nature.
shut my computer off on a kind of. Not now. I had when I was doing the research.
Right.
For some reason, when I start dragging files, I have this program and it kind of blanks all my screens, and I can't get the screens to come back. It's like it shifts it into another field, and I think that's a Windows 11 thing. So it really.
I don't know, man. I haven't upgraded yet. I'm still working on Windows 10. It keeps telling me to upgrade, and I'm like, maybe later. I'm not sure this computer here. I mean, you guys, I run a dinosaur computer, all right? This is a 4th generation Intel. And I'm not sure it'll run Windows 11, but maybe I should start checking into it because Windows 10 is about over with now. I hate that. Every time I get used to a new version of Windows, they change it. Why do they do that?
All right, hang on a second. Give me 1 second here, Chris.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. And Grant says, Steve, are you using Packard Bell?
No.
No.
It's a software issue, not a hardware
moose.
issue.
Well, we don't have any moose here in Kentucky, Mick, and I'm glad of it, too, because I have read a lot of things and seen videos about people talk about being attacked by a moose or, chased by a moose. And I reckon those things will stomp a mud hole in your hind end if you catch them in the wrong mood. And I would not want to be on the receiving end of that. It won't. Okay. Thanks, Ref. 8th gen minimum. I may have to upgrade. I hate doing that because, don't get me wrong. I don't mind working on a computer, but this was the all-in-one is so handy because I've got my screen and everything's there. I set that on the desk and all I got to add is a keyboard and a mouse and I'm good to go. But, this thing here, my camera is 720i or something. It's very, very old.
So here we go with this story and what's wrong with this story. So the bear, we have a wildlife behavior conflict going on here. What we have is the bear maternal response. A mother bear with a cub that small does not hesitate or retreat. Once she perceives a threat, she charges or bluffs immediately. Very common. Story claims the cub fell and ran off while the mother took off like a shot, yet there's no attack and the creature appears. And that's biologically inconsistent with bear defense behavior. If a cub is up in a tree crying. Impossible proximity witness says the cub was 10 feet above my head and he could have touched the tree, but never sees the mother approach directly, only hears heavy footsteps. Right? And dense Appalachian forest doesn't allow clear 75 to 100 foot visibility between trees, especially if the man was looking down to avoid eye contact, describing detailed features of a 9 to 10 foot figure that far away defies natural lighting in line of sight. And you got to understand that you're in the woods. Very true point there. Again, a made up story will, avoid all the actual physical limitations for those who have stood even in the flippin' Adirondacks that, if you're off trail or in the woods or whatever, seeing something 10 feet away in the summertime just ain't going to, 75 feet away is not going to happen. You may have a 20 foot or 30 foot, right?
Right, yeah.
Even if you're on the trail, you're only going to see in so far.
No, there's a lot of stuff that that grows in during the summer you can't see. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the brush, everything has got leaves on it. And it's like, you know.
Now, contradictory physical reactions. The man claims he was frozen with fear, yet provides intricate visual details of the creature's facial expression, posture, and even hand placement. Physiological during freeze response, focus and memory encoding narrow sharply, meaning he could not have noted that many specifics.
All right.
Then we have the scolding gesture problem. The hand on the lower back and disappointed parent look are anthropomorphic projections, assigning human emotion and posture to something allegedly non-human. Such gestures do not exist in known primate threat or defensive displays. No great ape uses hand on back posturing to intimidate or reprimand. We have narrative symbolism over reality. The story conveniently mirrors moral structure, threat, revelation, escape, and renewal. Right. Again, too cinematic to be unfiltered memory. Bigfoot behaves as a conscience figure, scolding the man at the height of the danger, a metaphor for self-judgment rather than observed behavior.
Yeah.
Sensory impossibilities, claims of seeing hair flowing through the wind while also describing thick canopy forest, contradict weather and terrain in central Virginia. If a bear cub was trembling in a tree, wind conditions strong enough to move a Bigfoot's hair would also move that cub's branch dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
Right? No physical evidence is there, and there's no follow-up at all in this. So, again, the behavioral red flags, over-detailed narration, often seen in confused memories, reconstructed under emotional stress. Moral closure, the creature warns then leaves, not typical of spontaneous wildlife behavior, classic of parable-like structure. And the Bigfoot embodies the witness's inner guilt or crisis point. He's both endangered, he's both the endangered human and the scolding authority. So the bear story collapses under its own contradictions. Biologically, behavior, and perceptually, the alleged Bigfoot acts in precise opposition to known animal logic, performing distinctly human gestures that reveal more about the narrator's emotional state than any creature in the forest. In short, compelling narrative, not a credible encounter.
Yeah.
So that's...
Well, I can't speak to the woods of Virginia, though, but in the summertime in Kentucky, everything is on the ground is green, and it's bushes everywhere, and that's one of the reasons why I don't usually go out during the summer in the woods, because you can't see anything. 10, 15 feet, that's it. You can't see anything beyond that. And to see 75 feet away, oh man, no. That just wouldn't happen here. Now in the fall, completely different story. All the leaves are gone. The leaves are off the trees. They're on the grounds. You can see a long ways in there, But during the summer, man, everything's green. And I don't know, it's probably the same way in New York, isn't it?
Yep. Now, I'm not going to blame Base Camp Chris for this.
No.
I mean, it's a story that was submitted. He's just relating it.
Right.
That's his channel. He tells these campfire stories that get sent to him. So there's a lot of contradictions that I would have about this whole thing.
Maybe
we
could ask.
We
Billy
did an interview
Willard.
with the guy. I would love to interview this guy.
I wish Billy was in the chat. We could ask Billy Willard. Hey, Billy, does the woods get green in Virginia?
They do, yes.
I believe they do. Yeah.
Oh, they get green everywhere.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, it goes chloroform, All right. Let's move on to our final story of the night. We'll do our wrap up.
Oh, look at here.
Bigfoot saved me. Old man was guided by Bigfoot through the blizzard.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Look at deep snow, too. Look at that.
So the weather and survival setup sounds believable. The rescue does not. The first part of the story feels grounded. An older man goes alone into the Cascade Mountains. Right? Let's do the recap on that first.
Cascade. So we're talking about
72-year-old widower hikes to a remote lake to remember his wife when a powerful blizzard strikes. He loses the trail, injures his ankle, and shelters beneath the fallen cedar. Through the snow, he spots giant footprints and then a towering fur-covered biped. The being approaches but does not harm him. Instead, it motions for him to follow. It stays ahead of him, finding safe routes, even returning with a sturdy branch for a walking stick.
Whoa, wait a minute. I'm out now. No.
And finally leads him to a cave for shelter. After the storm, it guides him down the mountain towards his truck, watches from a small ridge until he's safe, raises an arm in farewell, and disappears into the forest. He later keeps the walking stick as a reminder of his mysterious rescuer.
Well, I'm on board. I'm on board for a little while there. He sees a Bigfoot while he's lost. Okay, I can accept that. But, when we start talking about the Bigfoot motions him to follow him. Okay, well, wait a minute. I'm putting a little distance there. I'm backing up. But when the Bigfoot returns with a walking stick for the elderly man, I am out of there. No way. Nope. Not happening. Oh.
So here we go.
Yeah.
So, again, all of the first part of the story, he loses his trail visibility, sprains his ankle, gets cold, confused, crawls under a root ball for shelter, starts to slip into hypothermia. All of that's consistent with real backcountry emergencies. Hypothermia produces confusion, apathy, and emotional drift. People do start feeling, being okay with dying. That's genuine. Then the story changes. Okay. So suddenly we're told an 8 to 9 foot upright fur-covered figure appears near whiteout conditions, circles him, or accesses him, and then, with full intentionality, escorts him out of lethal conditions. The being allegedly stays 20 feet ahead in 20-foot visibility, never losing contact, picks safe terrain, avoids hidden hazards, times wind shifts, and reroutes around falling trees. Identify the man's walking stick broke, disappears briefly, and returns with a perfectly sized replacement stick designed to fit his height and injury, then hands it off without crowding him. Leads him to a cave for shelter, checks on him through the night, and later guides him on the track and back to his truck. Finally stands on a ridge to make sure he is and gives a farewell wave. At this point, it's not a wilderness reporting anymore, it's a cinematic rescue fiction. The witness says the visibility was down to maybe 20 feet in a 60-mile-per-hour blizzard. Snow up to thighs, whiteout, total landmark loss. He claims he's 72 years old, hypothermic, and basically unable to bear weight on a damaged ankle. But then he supposedly follows a biped for 60 to 90 minutes through 3-foot drifts, keeps it in view the whole time, moves far enough and long enough to reach a cave, stabilize, then follow the same being all the way down a mountain to his actual truck. That level of mobility does not match with the medical condition. He's describing a geriatric with fresh lower leg injury and systematic hypothermia, does not height controlled switchbacks for over an hour in active blizzard conditions just because he has a walking stick. Right. On top of that, he claims that the same blizzard, he could see the creature's scar patterns, its eye shine, its finger shape, its fur texture, the exact body language at 20 feet, then later identifies it again at 200 yards on a ridge and gets a clear partial gesture. That's not how that visibility works in a mountain weather. This is how a final shot in a movie works.
Yeah.
And this is how this is where anthropomorphism explodes. Right?
Yeah.
The being is described as evaluating his condition, studying him, making sure he's calm, radiating emotional intent, patience, compassion, you're safe now, giving a come here hand signal like a person directing a child, anticipating his physical limits and adjusting pace like a trained medic, leaving, then thoroughly returning with the exactly right crutch, standing guard at the cave like a sentry, checking him at night to make sure he's still alive, and then leaving him specifically to his truck, waving goodbye. That's not animal behavior. That's a human caregiver, coded into a non-human body. So, I don't think I need to go on any more with this.
Wow.
Because it's such a wild story.
What's it, Harry from the Hendersons?
So we can toss that one pretty much out.
I shine in a blizzard? Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. I shine in a blizzard. Where's the source of light? You know.
If it's whiteout conditions, man, you're not going to be able to see your hand in front of your face, really. I've been in one of those one time.
There's 3-foot drifts with 60-mile-an-hour winds. You think you're going to see anything?
No.
You're lucky you're going to see 5 feet in front of you.
I drove through a whiteout in Montana, and I don't think the winds were like 30, 35 miles an hour. It was bad, believe me. We had to pull off an exit because I could not see. Had the headlights on, had the fog lights on. You could not see literally probably 20 feet in front of the vehicle. And I was kind of worried I was going to smack into somebody in front of me. So we pulled off the exit and had to wait like an hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever it was, till the snow kind of calmed down a little bit. But yeah, this story is a little bit creative for me.
Totally. I mean, the anthropomorphism just comes alive.
Yeah. And
makes for a cute novel, cool movie, but
yeah. And Grant said earlier, I think he said he believed him because this happened to him, but then later he called BS because his Bigfoot didn't bring him a walking stick. So
weird.
Yes, definitely.
I don't know. So we want to open up the phone lines?
Yeah. See if anybody wants to call in, you can open them up anyway. If somebody wants to call, they can. That's good. If not, well, we're not gonna get upset at you.
All right, the phone lines are on 518-855-1450. You want to chat for the next 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes or so before we have to.
It was Faster Man. My bad. It wasn't Grant. It was Faster Man. Yeah, he said that happened to him. But then he called BS because his Bigfoot didn't bring him a walking stick those 3 or 4 times.
So, my question is
entertaining.
Us in the chat room here, we have no, I have no surprise that we don't believe in this story right off the shoot, but there are people that do believe in those types of stories.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Oh, I like the story.
416, you're on the air. Mick, is that you?
Oh.
How you guys doing?
Hi, I'm doing well, Mick.
Good.
How are you?
Good to hear you, Mick.
Great. Hey, I got to tell you something. I did my winter indoc when I was in the Canadian Forces, and anybody's talking about 3-foot drifts, I'm sorry. There's nothing else out there. There ain't no Sasquatch worth his salt's going to be out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, yeah.
And why isn't the Bigfoot in the cave going, this weather is bullshit?
Yeah, I'm not going out today. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If a Sasquatch sees you, he's wondering what the hell you're doing out there. He's like, what's that damn fool sitting out there?
Yeah,
right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that last story I had to throw in there because it was just so redonkulous.
It was worth it, too.
Save the
good
best.
show tonight, guys.
Thank you much, Mick. Thank you
thanks,
for
Mick.
calling in. And as you can see, the phone lines are working great now.
Yay.
Absolutely. And I'll clear the lines for the next caller.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thanks for calling in. Have a good night, my friend.
Thanks, Mick. But yeah, that's a very, very good point there. The Sasquatch wouldn't have been out walking around in that. He would have been kicked back in his nice little comfy cave.
Sorry, that was my fault. The initial beginning of that call, I had it on mute because I keep it on mute so the ringer doesn't come in through the pipeline.
Okay, yeah. Well, good. As long as it's working, man, everything, I'm happy. I'm happy.
And again, if you haven't subscribed,
talking to
click
Mick.
on that
Thanks,
QR
Mick.
code up in the upper right-hand corner there.
Yeah.
Of course, we are also, let me do this too while we're here, is that if you have not read any of my books or missing a few of my books, there's the QR code to go right to the bookshelf for my books. They make perfect Christmas gifts. Of course, we're coming up on the Christmas season very rapidly. And next week, Chris. Friday is Halloween, isn't it?
It's coming up. I don't know what day.
So Friday night, we're going to do a Halloween show.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah, that'd be fun.
But
Boris said Montana has 3 seasons: this winter, last winter, and next winter.
I'll tell you, I've been to Montana up by Glacier National Forest, and it was November 14th.
Yeah.
It was minus 17 degrees.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure. It was in October when we were driving through and we got into that whiteout. And I don't remember if it was early October or late, but I know it was October. That was like 2008, 2007, something like that. And yeah, boy, you talking about some snow, man. They got some snow up there. That was it was very, very bad luck though. I had driven there, went through Montana, went over to see I wanted to visit Yellowstone National Park, and my whole goal was to see some of the geysers there, especially Old Faithful. Okay, I'd seen it on TV since I'm a kid, and I want to see it up close and personal in real life. That's one of the things on the bucket list. And because they'd got such a big snow in, they'd closed the park. We weren't able to go.
Gotcha.
The closest we were able to get was the visitor center at the opening of the park, at the beginning of the park. We got to go to the visitor center, and I did get to visit Mammoth Hot Springs, which that was really cool, but it was certainly decidedly not Old Faithful. But maybe, if I live long enough, I might get to make another trip out there.
Now, you could always visit Jellystone Park.
Yeah, we got one of them down the road.
Hey there, boo-boo.
Yeah, sure enough.
Hunter Vermont says he'll be in New York this weekend. If I have any copies of that in hardcover,
cool.
I do not have any hardcovers in stock. So the few I had got sold. They're, rather expensive to order a great number of them because they're about twice, 2.5 times the price of the soft covers. So usually get the soft covers for shows, and because you never know.
A little heavier to carry to the shows too, so
And they take up more room.
That, yeah.
Take up more room, a little bit more room. But I do have. I think I'm out of Bigfoot: A Scientific Examination.
Oh, Boris lived in Montana the first 30 years of life. Wow.
Very nice.
Congratulations. I'll tell you what, I did say it is beautiful. I mean, good Lord, it's beautiful country.
But remote.
Yeah. Well, they got some cities too. Yeah, they do. It all
I mean,
depends,
but most of Montana is remote.
Oh, well, I know the one thing. They got some mountains.
I mean, I went to Olympia, and that was in a metropolis, and that's the capital.
Yeah. When you get snow in Montana, man, you're getting snow.
But where it becomes troublesome is I'm out of milk. Now it's a 45-minute drive to the store to get milk.
Yeah.
And eggs. So you tend to buy stuff, I guess, in bulk, but
Yeah. Or
17 miles for Glacier
cow.
Park.
Yeah.
Yep. So Boris is familiar with the grizzly
Very
bears,
cool.
which, that is the one downtrodden side of being up that way too, is that there's grizzlies up there. Grizzly bears are not very prolific in the lower 48.
Right.
They're in a few states, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, but they're, maybe parts of Washington, but for the most part, the lower 48 is just black bears.
Yeah, well, I don't like black bears either, but can you imagine something twice the size of a black bear or larger? Oh no. Oh no, no, no.
Well, black bears are like, they get startled very easily and easy to scare as long as you're not running into a cub.
Yeah.
You tell them to get out, they usually they'll listen.
Yeah.
Where we have the human confrontation with black bears a lot of times because people are feeding them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they get unafraid of humans.
And I think
That's
I've
an
read that
issue.
somewhere that more people are attacked by black bears
A
than
hungry
by grizzly
one.
bears.
A hungry one, but usually a bear does not look at a Homo sapien, us, as food. It will, because black bears are omnivorous, as are grizzly bears. They're omnivorous. They eat, plant fauna and fruits
Right.
and other stuff aside from just being a carnivore diet. But most of the time you see a bear, get out of here, gone. That's why. Yeah, they dislike any kind of spray.
Yeah, if I see a bear, first thing I say is, ooh. Ooh, I'll leave.
Yeah, you just make yourself big. Oh shit.
Yeah.
They're gone. They don't attack normally on site, but like I said, people feeding them. Again, securing your trash in high bear areas. We actually have a bear sighting in my area now. Like I said, I've had my trail cameras up for years up here since I've been here. No bears at all on the camera, but we did have a report of a sighting of a bear about 7 miles from where I'm at. So that puts that in pretty close proximity.
Yeah.
If the bear decides to come closer, a little more south, or actually a little more west, I should say, because where we're seeing it was east of us.
I think that's the biggest thing about black bears is they'll get into your garbage. So you've got to really secure your garbage. Yeah.
I really have a big rule is when you move into an area in the forests, we don't act stealthily. We act just normal walking because a Bigfoot will be naturally curious as to what's approaching in because of the primate curiosity thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why it keeps all the bad critters away.
Yeah.
But kind of makes our critters we want to see a little more interested.
Yeah.
So Hilton says, if I see a bear, I make sure to trip the person with me before I start running. Every man for himself.
Oh, yeah. Start just first thing, dude, and reach down and start tying up those shoelaces, making sure. I just don't like bears. I'm sorry.
You don't like bears? You don't like snakes?
Don't like bears. Don't like snakes. Well, the venomous snakes. I don't like venomous.
How about spiders?
No, they don't bother me. I don't care.
See, I don't like spiders.
The thing of it is, I was raised as a kid. I grew up and spent a lot of time with my grandparents who lived over in Cumberland County, Kentucky. And that must be, from what I've seen, one of the snakiest areas in the United States because, they grow some good rattlesnakes, good sized rattlesnakes over there. And they're plentiful, they're not endangered in any way. So, I'm always wary of that. Anytime you see a bunch of tall grass and stuff, you don't go messing around in there. And it's not. I found out it's not that way in the rest of the world. My wife and I, we routinely watch videos in Thailand, people in Thailand, because that's where she's from. And I see people walking out in waist-high weeds, and I'm like, whoa! No, they have king cobras there, stuff like that. But evidently, they're not as common as rattlesnakes are in Kentucky, in eastern Kentucky.
I do have a bit of Bigfoot news tonight. I completely forgot this.
What you got? Yeah.
But we want to. Oops, there we are. Hang on a second. All right, I had to move my cord here. It's a little bit. And what I do want to shout out and give my condolences to Barcatino, Bigfoot researcher out there in California, one of our friends, who one of his friends passed away that's known to a lot of us, Wally Hersham.
Oh, wow.
And Wally was basically the Tom Slick of the Bigfoot world from probably about the 90s through current day. Financed a lot of operations, unfortunately, the Ketchum study as well. Which, you know, he never was a big promoter of that other than just supplying some money to make sure the items got tested.
Right.
But Wally passed away, I guess, in mid-October. His family just released the information today.
Yeah.
So our condolences to Bart, who was a good friend of Wally, and, of course, to the family of Wally as well.
Yeah.
Very sad news indeed.
Take care, Mick.
Good night, Mick.
Yeah, that's bad.
So,
Of course, you know, we all got to go.
it's been a tough year. It's been a tough year. So I just want to get that bit of news out there and throw our condolences out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been tough, like I said, tough year, but you know, a good year in a lot of other ways. But you know, the latter half of this year has been a little bit rough for a lot of people. So, and I am having a little bit of issue with my cord right now. There we go. All right.
Cord acting up here right at the end of the show.
I don't know why. I don't know why. I mean,
well, it's hung on this long, so let's give it some credit. Oh, man. Oh, what was this now? Faster man. Yes, he was also bitten by a green mamba, and I think a black. He raised snakes and had all the antivenoms on site.
Wow.
Who was
Interesting.
that?
Now,
Go back up a little bit. I missed something.
yeah, I'll tell you
Oh,
what,
okay.
Chris,
Okay,
you would have flipped your gourd. Oh,
Taipan.
now you would have flipped your gourd. I remember going out along the Poltony River on the New York side,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden slithering out of the woods, hearing us coming, trying to make its escape, was an 8-foot corn snake.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
8 foot. It was huge. Biggest snake I've ever
Whopper.
seen.
Yeah, most of the corn snakes are like
but he was beautiful
yeah,
because he was all black.
yeah,
But you know how snakes have those patterns, right? So it was different shades of black,
yeah.
like a camouflage black pattern almost. And it was so cool watching that snake go.
Well, usually,
And if I could have grabbed him, I would have.
well, usually corn snakes are kind of orange and grayish looking. You know the.
Yeah, but they do get black. They
Okay.
do.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's possible it could have been a milk snake.
The right. The traditional black snakes are you know we're very common around here. They're non-venomous and they won't bother you. And you know my dad, in fact, used to catch them and put them in the corn crib and in the feed room when we were milking cows, because you know when you have cattle feed, you also have mice. All right, and they'll chew your feed bags, your feed sacks that you have to take back and forth to the mill. And so, you know, you don't want that happening. So you either have cats or, you know, in my dad's case, he put snakes in the feed room. So it was always exciting when you were milking cows, because every time I would have 2 5-gallon buckets, and I would have to take them in there in the feed room and fill them up, you know.
Reverend Quantum Bigfoot, I think Indigo is kind of a bluish. He was black, straight black, and you could see the little patterns on him as he went by. And literally, he was like 3 feet in front of me, wanted nothing to do with me. He just right across the path, and I was like, I mean, could it have been 6 feet? Yeah, because I didn't see him stem the stern. The path I was walking was only maybe a few feet wide, but he covered that path right across for a little bit. And, you know, I didn't follow him. I didn't have anybody molest him. We just let him go off into the wood line and do his thing. He's part of nature, and he belongs there, and that's his home, not ours. So let him be.
Exactly. That's the thing. If it's a non-venomous snake, I'll give them a wide berth.
But then
I
again,
don't
even a
bother.
venomous snake, if a venomous snake is making its way away from me and not towards me, let it be. Let it be. You know what? It's in its home. We're in its home. Right?
Nope.
I'm not killing him.
I will go out of my way to end a venomous snake. Yes, I will. I have driven down the road and seen one cross the road and turned around and went back. Okay. I will go out of my way to end a venomous snake. And I'm sorry for you snake people out there that love snakes. I'm sorry. But that's
I won't do that. You know, I think,
Yeah.
even like in a contained environment, they'd be really cool. Just to watch and look at. I have that curiosity. I love animals. People ask me, am I a hunter? All the time because I have a lot of camo.
Yeah.
Are you a hunter? Well, I hunt with a camera.
Yeah.
I don't hunt with a gun. I've never find it very hard to take another creature's life.
Yeah. Well,
And that's just me. I have a big heart for animals. We got to remember that, and this is the way I look at venomous snakes, is that they're just being snakes. They're not doing anything out of malice.
Yeah.
They're just being snakes. They see you as a threat, they're going to bite. So don't be a threat.
Some people like snakes. I had a buddy named Carl Arnold. Hey, Carl, if you're out there in New Mexico. And I had a 55-gallon aquarium there that, I had full of fish. But when I left, I got rid of the fish and drained the aquarium. And Carl stayed at he ended up buying the place where I used to own there in New Mexico. He bought it from me. And he told me he would store the fish tank and stuff until I got back because I didn't have enough room moving everything back to Kentucky in one load. So during this time, Carl got into rattlesnakes. He was really interested. I guess he went to a rattlesnake roundup. He got fascinated with rattlesnakes. So he caught some rattlesnakes and he put them in the 55-gallon aquarium. And that was cool. He had 7 or 8 in there. But he forgot to put some weights on the lid. So one night he got up, went to the kitchen to get a drink of water. And he heard, from the other side of the room away from the aquarium, he heard and what he realized, they had come out of the lid of the aquarium and were now in various locations throughout his living room. So that made a very interesting. Of course, it's dark. That made a very interesting night.
Well, you see, and here's the interesting thing. Is the rattle goes off, right? Why does it rattle?
Well, it's trying to warn you to stay away.
Stay away. Exactly.
Yes.
So there's no malice in it. It rattles to keep you away from it. It doesn't want confrontation.
Yes.
That's why I don't necessarily.
But that's not true in every case, though. I have been bitten by a rattlesnake that did not rattle except when he bit.
But did you step on him?
Yes, I did.
That's why he bit.
Yeah. Yes.
You probably came on him too fast, or he didn't think you were close enough, and then you stepped on him and he bit. That's again, no malice in there.
Probably my fault. Yeah.
Yeah. No malice in it. If somebody pushed you, what's your first reaction? You're going to swing, right? And it may be accidental, but if you think it's intentional and not having a superior Homo sapien brain like ours that can go, wait a minute, was that intentional or not? Let me think.
Yes.
And your natural instinct is to go boom.
Yes.
But anyway,
I had it coming. I stepped on him. It's that time again.
Goes through 2 hours.
Oh, it was fun though. I enjoyed some of the stories. I was like, the Mount St. Helens, we could always revisit that. I like that.
Yep.
But thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Appreciate having you. If it's your first time to the channel, if you hadn't already subscribed, please do so. It helps the channel. Smash that thumbs up on the way out if you hadn't already. We appreciate it, guys. Steve and I both know that we have the greatest audience we could ever hope to have. Thank you so much. This is only possible because of you. And we know this. We realize this. Thank you so much, guys. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.
And folks, again, thanks for being here. We love you guys. Thanks again to Sandwich Savant for donating some subscriptions tonight. We are not worthy. We thank you so much. Of course, that all helps go to good Bigfoot research. A lot of things going on the home front. We've talked a little bit about over that. We'll keep moving forward, and we'll have some more updates for you soon about that. But really, guys, thanks for being here. It means the world to us. We couldn't do this show without you. And, you know, we are only going to get better. Now we're in the winter time, so we can actually... oops, hang on. Something's not working. There we go. But we got a lot of projects going on all at once. And luckily, I may be off the 6-day work week. Not this week, but maybe the week after. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. So that's all good news. It'll give me a little extra day to do a little more extra work. And get some stuff that I need to get done around the house as well. So, folks, we love you guys. We'll see you all here Wednesday night, right here on YouTube.com/@SquatchDTV. Again, check out the blog over at Squatchdetective.com. Check out the events. Check out everything. Support our people that support us. Love you guys. And, of course, be safe. Have a good week. God bless. And, of course, keep on squatching. Love you guys. See you in a bit.
We thank you for being here with us on Squatch-D TV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member, and it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on Squatch-D TV. Keep on squatching.